How is it possible to stop overthinking before bed? This is basically the focus of today's episode from Grow with Aziza. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our weekly episodes. Well, over the last few episodes, we have actually been talking about anxiety, overthinking, future anxiety, calming an anxious mind, and why our brains often assume the worst. Today, I want to talk about something that so many people experience. Basically, everything is fine during the day. You are busy, you are working, maybe you are studying, talking to people. Your mind is basically occupied. But then you get into bed, you turn off the lights, the room becomes quiet, and suddenly your brain wakes up. You start replaying conversations, thinking about work, thinking about tomorrow, thinking about money, thinking about your future, thinking about mistakes you made years ago, thinking about conversations that haven't even happened yet. You keep checking the time. You tell yourself, I really need to sleep. I am so tired. But the harder you try to sleep, the more awake your mind becomes. If you have ever experienced this, if you have ever searched for things like how to stop overthinking before bed, why can't I sleep because of my thoughts? How do I stop racing thoughts at night? Why does my anxiety get worse at night? How do I calm my mind before sleep? In this case, this episode is for you because today we are going to explore why your brain won't switch off at night and what you can do about it. Have you ever wondered why overthinking seems to get worse at bedtime? During the day, your attention is constantly moving. You have emails to answer, people to talk to, work to finish, errands to run. So your brain is so busy responding to the outside world. But at night, everything slows down. There are fewer distractions, no meetings, no conversations, no notifications, no task demanding your attention. And for the first time all day, your mind is alone with itself. The silence doesn't create the overthinking, it simply gives you space to hear it. One thing I have noticed is that many people think they suddenly become anxious at night. But that is usually not what happens. The anxiety was already there. The worries were already there. The unfinished thoughts were already there. The night simply makes them louder. Imagine sitting in a noisy cafe. All right, you probably would not notice the sound of a ticking clock. But if you walked into a completely quiet room, suddenly that same clock would seem very loud. Your thoughts actually work in a similar way. When life becomes quiet, your thoughts become easier to hear. Another reason overthinking before bed feels so intense is because your brain finally has time to process everything you have been avoiding. Maybe you have been busy all day. You have pushed your emotions aside. You have ignored your worries. You have distracted yourself with work or social media. But when your head finally touches the pillow, there is nowhere left to run. Your brain says, okay, now let's think about everything. And suddenly you are having conversations with people who are not even there. You are replaying awkward moments. You are imagining tomorrow's problems. You are solving situations that haven't happened yet. It is exhausting, actually. Really, that is so exhausting. Something else I have noticed is that our minds become obsessed with unfinished stories. Maybe someone did not reply to your message. Maybe your boss said, let's talk tomorrow. Maybe you are waiting for exam results. Maybe you are waiting to hear back from a company. Maybe you are unsure about future. Your brain hates unfinished situations. Your brain wants closure. It wants certainty. It wants answers. So while you're trying to sleep, your mind keeps searching. Your mind keeps searching for unfinished situations, for unanswered situations. You start thinking and you start telling yourself things like, maybe if I finish, maybe if I think about it one more time, I will finally figure it out. But usually, you don't. You don't figure it out during your sleep. So what happened? You simply becomes more awake. I think one of the biggest myths about overthinking is believing that thinking longer will solve the problem. Think about it, really. Has worrying at midnight ever solved tomorrow's problem? Has replaying the same conversation 50 times changed what happened? Has imagining every possible outcome helped you sleep better? Probably not. Why? Because overthinking before bed is not really about solving problems. It is about trying to control uncertainty. And uncertainty can't be solved at 2 o'clock in the morning. One question that has helped me many times is this: is this something I need to solve tonight? Well, most of the time, the answer is no. So, you don't need to solve tomorrow's meeting tonight. You don't need to predict next year's future tonight. You don't need to replay today's mistake tonight. Those problems will still be there tomorrow, but your energy won't. So, sleep is not wasted time. Sleep is preparation. Your brain needs rest to think clearly. Ironically, many problems look much smaller after a good night's sleep. I also think it is important to remember that your tired brain is not your wisest brain. Late at night, everything feels bigger. Small mistakes feel huge. Tiny worries become major problems. One unanswered message feels like rejection. One challenge feels impossible. Your exhausted mind is not seeing reality clearly. It is basically seeing reality through the lens of fatigue and anxiety. That is why many times that feel overwhelming at midnight seem much more manageable the next morning. So, how do we begin calming racing thoughts before bed? Well, not by fighting them, not by getting angry with yourself, not by forcing your brain to stop thinking. Instead, gently remind yourself you don't need to solve this tonight. This thought can wait until tomorrow. Right now, your job is to rest. Sometimes giving yourself permission to postpone a problem is exactly what your mind needs. Not because you are avoiding it, but because you will handle it better after you have rested. If anxiety keeps you awake at night, another thing to remember is this: your mind is trying to protect you. It is scanning for danger. It is looking for unfinished problems. It is trying to prepare you, but preparation has a limit. At some point, thinking stops being helpful and starts becoming harmful. That is the moment to choose rest instead of another hour of worry. So, if you have been struggling with overthinking before bed, racing thoughts at night, anxiety before sleep, or a mind that simply won't switch off. I want you to remember this. Your pillow is not the place to solve your entire life. You don't need to fix your future before you fall asleep. You don't need every answer tonight. Sometimes the kindest thing you can say to yourself is this: I have done enough for today. Tomorrow I will continue. At the end of the day, calming your mind before sleep is not actually about having a perfect life. It is about allowing yourself to rest even when life feels uncertain, because you deserve peace. And tomorrow will thank you for allowing some rest and getting the rest you need. So, if this episode helped you understand why you overthink before bed, why anxiety gets worse at night, or how to calm racing thoughts before sleep, please don't forget to subscribe and share it with someone who might need to hear this tonight. Thank you so much for listening, and remember, you don't have to solve tomorrow before you go to sleep. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is simply rest. Really, you just need to rest. So, yeah, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you next Thursday because I am actually planning to upload every Thursday. So, yeah, thank you so much. Take care of yourself. Have a great week and see you next Thursday. Bye bye.